Welcome to Wiki Bros. I'm Justin,
This is Kyle.
and this is a show with a couple of guys exploring various Wikipedia articles.
All right, Justin. You've been married for quite a while.
Yes,
How long exactly?
18 years.
That's good. It's good. Um, when's your wedding anniversary? It's coming up here soon.
It's October 9th.
It's good you know that.
I know all dates.
You should. It keeps you healthy. That's why you've lasted 18 years. So I would assume at this point that Billy pretty much does all decorating in your house.
That's fair assessment.
Yeah. You think she'd be interested in any skin-covered chairs?
Like leather?
I mean, kinda. More along like the human skin kind.
No,
No?
no.
No. I mean, it's really high quality.
I'm sure it probably could be, but
It's high price too.
I
mean,
bet it is.
Well, I'm just saying it's really sought after in some countries, mostly
it's not. No,
cannibalistic countries.
no.
Well, anyway, today we're gonna let our listeners learn a little bit about a killer by the name of Edward Gein, also known as the Butcher of Plainfield or the Plainfield Ghoul, and I'll let you get into it.
All right. Ed Gein was a murderer and body snatcher. His crimes committed around his hometown of Plainfield, Wisconsin, gathered widespread notoriety in 1957 after authorities discovered he had exhumed corpses from local graveyards and fashioned trophies and keepsakes from their bones and skin.
Doesn't surprise me. I mean, he's in Wisconsin. What else is there to do?
I mean, Wisconsin Dells.
Yeah, but if you live there, like eventually it's gonna get boring, right?
I guess.
So why not skin some people?
Sure. Gein also confessed to killing two women, a tavern owner Mary Hogan in 1954 and hardware store owner Bernice Warden in 1957. Gein was initially found unfit to stand trial and confined to a mental health facility. By 1968, he was judged competent to stand trial, and he was found guilty of the murder of Warden, but he was found legally insane and was remanded to a psychiatric institution. He died at Mendota Mental Health Institution of respiratory failure on July 26, 1984, at 77 years old. He's buried next to his family in Plainfield Cemetery in a now unmarked grave. Yeah.
Interesting.
So,
I'm guessing he pled crazy.
well, pretty much.
I mean,
if you're robbing graves for their body parts, you're crazy, right?
I mean, if any killer has ever really qualified as being labeled insane, I would think this man would.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah. Says Gein was born in La Crosse County, Wisconsin on August 27th, 1906. He's the second of two boys of George and Augusta Gein, and he had a elder brother named Henry. Now, Augusta, this chick, the mom, man, she's something special, all right? Says she was fervently religious and nominally Lutheran. She preached to her sons about the immorality of the world, the evil of drinking, and her belief that all women, apart from herself, were naturally promiscuous and instruments of the devil. Says she reserved time every afternoon to read to them from the Bible, usually selecting verses from the Old Testament and Book of Revelation concerning death, murder, and divine retribution. She hated her husband.
She sounds fun.
Yes. Because her husband was an alcoholic, and what do we know about drinking? It's evil. Right?
Yes,
All right.
evil.
Plus, her husband was apparently unable to keep a job. He worked at various times as a carpenter, tanner, and insurance salesman. George owned a local grocery shop for a few years, but sold the business, and the family left the city to live in isolation on a 155-acre farm in the town of Plainfield. Now, Augusta took advantage of the farm's isolation by turning away outsiders who could have influenced her sons, and Gein left the farm only to attend school. Outside of school, Gein spent most of his time doing chores on the farm. Now, when he was in school, Gein was shy, okay? Classmates and teachers remembered him as having strange mannerisms, such as seemingly random laughter, as if he were laughing at his own personal jokes. And to make matters worse, Augusta punished him whenever he tried to make friends.
Oh, I'm sure that was helpful.
Yeah. So, despite his poor social development, Gein did fairly well in school academically, particularly in reading. Now, on April 1st, 1940, Ed Gein's father, George, died of heart failure caused by his alcoholism at age 66. Henry and Ed began doing odd jobs around town to help cover living expenses, and the brothers were generally considered reliable and honest residents of the community. While both worked as handymen, Ed also frequently babysat for neighbors. He enjoyed babysitting.
That's concerning.
I mean, is it because he's a guy? Is that what makes it concerning?
I mean, in those times, I would think that would be kind of odd.
It's probably.
I mean, that wasn't a common thing,
I wouldn't. No, I wouldn't think so.
at this time frame. And then, you add that with the what we know about his future. It's a little scary.
Yeah, he's a crackpot. But it says he seemed to relate more easily to children than adults. And that's, I mean, that might just be because he's, he had the horrible childhood getting made fun of in school, right?
Well, I mean, a lot of that's probably, social development too. He, mother sheltered him, wouldn't let him have any friends. So, of course, he probably never developed socially, which is, was a cause of a lot of his awkwardness to begin with.
Yep. Says his brother Henry began dating a divorced mother of two and planned to move in with her. He worried about his brother's attachment to their mother, which is understandable. And often he spoke ill of her around Ed, who responded with shock and hurt. On May 16th, 1944, Henry and Ed were burning away marsh vegetation on the property. The fire got out of control, drawing the attention of the local fire department. But by the end of the day, the fire having been extinguished and the firefighters gone, Ed reported his brother missing. Didn't occur to him any other time, apparently, just now, But it says with lanterns and flashlights, a search party searched for Henry, whose dead body was found lying face down. Apparently, he had been dead for some time, and it appeared that the cause of death was heart failure, since he had not been burned or injured otherwise.
At all?
No.
Nothing suspicious at all?
Nothing. So, and I suppose they are figuring heart failure because of the father, having it. They're thinking it's running in the family.
I mean, it would make sense if his brother was as heavy of a drinker as he was. But how old was his brother at this time, though?
It was 1944.
And they were born on around early 19... I mean, he'd be...
in his 30s,
30s?
I guess.
I mean, that's way too early to have heart failure. I mean, even given in this time, I guess it's still possible, but...
I mean, this wasn't like this was like 1802. It wasn't that long ago.
But I'm saying, even if it was just like a heart defect or something to that extent, like, they didn't have the technology at that time probably to really dive into it.
Yeah, possibly. It was later reported by biographer Harold Schechter that Henry had bruises on his head. So that's interesting.
How'd they miss that one?
Who knows, man? I don't think they even tried.
Cops walk up and they're just like, yep, heart attack.
Yeah, and honestly, had they done their due diligence here, I mean, possibly this could have saved the lives of a couple people.
Oh, yeah,
right?
Yeah.
But we don't know for sure that he killed his brother. Not positive, but he probably killed his brother. Says the police dismissed the possibility of foul play, and the county coroner later officially listed asphyxiation as the cause of death.
I mean, couldn't you still say he was smothered to death or choked?
Yeah, I mean, who knows? Says authorities accepted the accident theory, but no official investigation was conducted, and an autopsy was not performed. So the county coroner just says, "Oh, it's asphyxiation," but they don't try doing any sort of autopsy to, see what his lungs look like. Maybe nothing. No.
Yeah, I mean, how else would they determine that it wasn't related to the fire?
No, they just say
Asphyxiation. I mean, they guessed heart attack to begin with, so.
that's a good point.
No, well, also, his mom was still around at this point in time, right?
Yeah, so now it's just Ed Gein and his mother. They're the only ones left. And after this, though, Augusta had a paralyzing stroke, and yeah, so now Gein devotes himself to taking care of her because he's a mama's boy.
Oh yeah.
I mean, you should take care of your mom.
Well, always.
But, well, not always.
You should always take care of your mom.
I'm not taking care of my mom. Right? So, not always.
Fair enough.
All right. So it says sometime in 1945, Gein later recounted he and his mother visited a man named Smith who lived nearby to purchase some straw. According to Gein, Augusta witnessed Smith beating a dog. A woman inside the Smith home came outside and yelled for him to stop, but Smith beat the dog to death. Now, Augusta was extremely upset by this scene. I mean, couldn't you imagine? You're at this guy's house and you're witnessing him beating a dog to death. Of course you're going to be a little upset by it, right?
I thought she was paralyzed.
Well, yes,
By a
but
stroke.
she was. But I think that, I think that she could probably still get along. I don't think she's like completely paralyzed, right? Probably like a left side paralysis or something, right?
Yeah, I guess they don't specify. They just said paralyzing stroke,
right.
So they could even just be facial.
But back to this beating of the dog.
So Smith was beating the dog?
Smith was beating the dog.
This was the neighbor, right?
This is the neighbor. Augusta sees it. She's upset. But it turns out she wasn't upset by him beating the dog at all. She was rather upset because of the presence of the woman. Says Augusta told Ed that the woman was not married to Smith and so had no business being there, and angrily called her Smith's harlot.
That's a word we need to bring back. You don't hear that. It's like a fancier word.
It is. I mean, now you're just like, you're like, that's Smith's hoe.
Yeah. See, like if I called you a harlot versus a hoe, like you wouldn't be as offended, right?
I don't think I would be as offended. I think I would.
Like if I said, Justin,
I would feel kind of fancy.
like Justin, you're promiscuous versus you're kind of a slut. It's like,
yeah, I guess
like
so.
It's it's more appropriate way to address the situation.
I like it. So we're gonna start saying harlot more often.
Okay, if you can fit that in going forward, I appreciate it.
All right, I'll work on it. Now Augusta had a second stroke soon after, and her health deteriorated rapidly. She died on December 29th, 1945, at the age of 67. Ed was devastated by her death. In the words of author Harold Schechter, he had lost his only friend and one true love, and he was absolutely alone in the world.
That's a little creepy.
Well, it is his only friend, right? I mean, he was sheltered.
Yeah, I mean, she kind of read this into him.
Yeah. So basically, Augusta is responsible for these deaths too. That's what I'm saying.
Oh yeah, yeah. She definitely gave him some childhood trauma.
But now he's alone. He's got to, continue. He was working, I guess, outside of the farm.
I found it funny earlier, and we'll get to this later on when it comes to the furniture. How his father's profession of tanner.
I know,
will come
right?
to play. I didn't even catch that before, but it was it's very interesting that
right.
it's actually a profession. So he was actually trained in this.
He basically probably, like you would do with your sons, you train them a little bit in stuff that you're interested in or stuff that you do, right? Yeah. But
so this is really high quality leather. I'm telling you, we're going to sell this to Billy. Got to try it.
Good luck. Said Gein held on to the farm and earned money from odd jobs. He boarded up rooms used by his mother, including the upstairs, downstairs parlor, and living room, leaving them untouched. And I found some pictures on this. So
really?
Yeah, oh yeah. So if you go to the website, wikibros.com, go down, find this episode, and there's some pictures on there, and you got to check this out. I mean, He basically her room is just pristine. It really looks good, And the rest of the house, I mean, it's a trash pit.
He just wall off her section and keep it clean, basically.
Yeah, and then just lived in filth, in a couple rooms, right? He only used a couple rooms. In fact, it says while the rest of the house became increasingly squalid, these rooms remained pristine.
Nice word. What exactly does squalid mean?
Dirty, filthy, gross.
I mean,
It means
I assume that, but just wanted to clarify.
means teenager bedroom.
Oh. You have any teenagers that do that?
Couple.
Clean your room, kids.
Yeah, that works. Says Gein lived thereafter in a small room next to the kitchen. Around this time, he became interested in reading pulp magazines and adventure stories, particularly those involving cannibals or Nazi atrocities.
Now, we've looked up pulp magazines
Pulp
before.
yeah, and I don't really remember. What was Pulp magazine? I know it's not orange juice magazines or anything. I don't remember what was that. It was like a cheap. Wasn't it the material that they printed them on?
Yeah, it had to do with the quality of the magazine.
So
I
they were
believe.
cheap. So
Yeah.
like the poor kids could get those
Pretty
while the
much.
rich
it was
kids
like it was like a throwaway mag. Well, I mean, all magazines are throwaway, but it was like the cheapest they could print it on.
Right. So, it says Gein was a handyman and received a farm subsidy from the federal government starting in 1951. He occasionally worked for local municipal road crew and crop threshing crews in the area. Sometime between 1946 and 1956, he also sold an 80-acre parcel of land that his brother Henry had owned. So why not? Kill your brother, take his land. Or if your brother dies
It was
of asphyxiation,
accidental.
then you...
Yeah. Okay. Let's be honest. He hit him in the head and let the fire smother him. Is what happened.
And since nobody performs autopsies, in the 1950s,
So much easier to get away with murder back then.
Gosh dang it!
You know why? Because they didn't have cell phones.
Cell phones.
That's the cell phones.
Gosh dang it! They just send you to jail every time.
I know. I don't understand it.
I'm so glad we didn't have cell phones when we were kids. Not that I would have gone to jail, but I mean, I don't want my whole life being recorded.
Yeah. I mean, it's insane the level of tracking that they have on everything now. I mean, you can't even go to the grocery store without getting recorded.
Right. Of course, now I'm seeing all the time where people are going into stores and even though they're being recorded, they're just walking out of stores with stuff in their hand. They don't give a shit about anything.
No.
It's crazy.
You know
Have
what?
you seen these videos?
But you know why? It's because of the self-checkouts, okay?
Well,
Nobody gives a shit about the self-checkouts, Justin.
Well, Walmart does. Walmart checks your receipt after you leave.
Not anymore. When's the last time you've been checked?
I checked.
Do you know how many times?
2 days ago.
Really?
Yes.
Do you know how many times I've walked in there and walked out without being checked?
Oh.
With a whole cart full of stuff before?
Yeah.
And the more you have, the less they check.
Oh, I mean, that's how this worked. I had a cart full and nothing. It was like cases of pop and random, like the little kids' baseball bats, like the plastic wiffle ball bats.
Yeah.
I had a few of those in there and some basketballs, stuff like this, right? So nothing was put in the bags at all. And I'm walking out, and she's, standing there at the door. I see her looking at me, so I just pull out the receipt, and she grabs the receipt out of my hand and goes, okay.
Yeah. Yeah, they don't
She
verify
didn't-
anything.
She didn't look at
Well, and I
anything.
mean, you're getting paid $10 an hour, so they don't care.
I don't know. They might be getting a pretty decent wage anymore.
11?
Well, at that one, I mean, they've got to be. That one's in that Walmart's in Illinois. I think their minimum wage is almost $13 an hour now, right?
Yeah, probably, possibly.
Right. So
I mean, still. I mean, at that point, like, there's people, see so many people a day, they don't care.
yeah.
It's, they're doing
But
it
the problem I have is that all these people are just walking out of the stores, like just straight up robbing them. Not even attempting to go through a self checkout. They just walk in, they grab shit,
Just
they
walk
throw
straight
it
out
in
the door?
Yeah, and they're just walking out. And then the people in the store are just letting it happen.
the pure level of commitment. Like you have to have such a belief in what you're doing to just walk into the
Well, 'cause
store.
nobody's stopping it.
I know. But who's going to question it, right? Because, they don't have security.
Well,
The 90-year-old lady checking your receipt at
yes,
the door,
and that might be the security that they have. And the
you,
videos,
you give that lady a taser, less people are going to walk out that door.
Yeah, but-
I want a taser happy
I
granny.
agree.
Just-
tase them, but everyone's afraid. They don't want to tase anybody and get sued by them.
Well,
you
then
know?
Granny's got, Illinois, Granny's got to get a FOID card for the taser. You know,
Do they really have to have a
Yeah,
FOID
you do.
card
It's
for a
ridiculous.
taser?
It is ridiculous. And I'm sorry we've gotten so far off topic here, but like you actually have to have a FOID card in Illinois to get a taser.
You need to move back onto the good side of the state line.
Tell me about it.
Okay, so anyway, back to Ed Gein.
Yeah.
It says, on the morning of November 16th, 1957, Plainfield hardware store owner Bernice Warden disappeared. Probably because she didn't have a taser.
Yeah. So many problems tasers would solve?
Yes. A Plainfield resident reported that the hardware store's truck had been driven out from the rear of the building at around 9:30 a.m. Hardware store saw few customers the entire day, with some area residents believing this was because it was deer hunting season, right? Nobody's around, they're out hunting. Says Bernice Warden's son, which was Deputy Sheriff Frank Warden, he entered the store around 5 p.m. to find the store's cash register open and bloodstains on the floor.
Now, I just want to point something out.
Yes.
With Mr. Warden here. Mm-hmm. This is. Oh wait, no. This is the. Sorry.
Yes, please enlighten us.
Okay, so
What about Frank
the
Warden?
store owner is Bernice Warden.
Yes.
And the deputy is Frank Warden. Okay, just wanted to clarify that. Frank Warden later on
And
also turns out to be. Is it the fire marshal?
Fire chief, and that's
Which I'm assuming he's doing double duty because he's probably the only person in town.
I'm not even including that because I'm saying there's no way somebody messed up.
It's got to be a Wikipedia area.
Yeah, because
Error.
I can't find any other information on Frank Warden being any part of the fire service. Okay. So
We're going to follow up just on Frank Warden.
yeah,
I want to know more about you, Frank.
I don't think that's going to be a very good episode. No.
He just wanted in here twice. His family lied.
Says Frank Warden told investigators that on the evening before his mother's disappearance, Gein had been in the store and he was to have returned the next morning for a gallon of antifreeze. Sales slip for the gallon of antifreeze was the last receipt written by Warden on the morning she disappeared. On the evening of the same day, Gein was arrested at a grocery store, and the county sheriff's department searched the Gein farm. Says the county sheriff's deputy discovered Warden's decapitated body in a shed on Gein's property, hung upside down by her legs with a crossbar at her ankles and ropes at her wrists. The torso was dressed out like a deer. She had been shot with a .22 caliber rifle, and the mutilations were made after her death. So there's that.
It was not an accidental deer shooting.
No, that was a person.
Yeah.
So, searching the house, this is what authorities found. Now, stay with me here. This guy is a fucking, he's out there.
Now, let's just make this clear. He did all this prior to killing her.
Right, because they got him
This is just
day.
what they found after the fact of him immediately killing her.
Yep. So, when they searched, they found whole human bones and fragments, a wastebasket made of human skin skin covering several chair seats.
See?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I know. I don't see Billy going for it.
It's probably the hair that would be a little creepy.
I don't know. My guess is he's probably got that taken care of. That's
he
my
did.
guess.
He was.
Yeah,
Dad was a
he's
professional tanner, right? He's probably got it all laid down,
I think
shaved.
I think it's all shaved. It's going to be nice, smooth skin on your chair.
It's true. And it seems like he's got a thing for women hair or women's skin anyway.
Yeah, he's something.
He's got a weird fascination with his mom.
So, also, they found skulls on his bedposts.
Oh.
Female skulls, some with the tops sawn off. I suppose those could be the same skulls that were on his bedpost. Who knows? It says bowls made from human skulls.
Which would be the tops of the heads that he sawed off.
Oh, that could... I pictured it being the other way around.
No, like he just flipped them.
That's a good point. So
Like
he's getting double usage out of
multi-purpose
these.
skulls.
Man, what a good guy. Looking out for the environment.
He's not wasting anything.
He's not. Man, I changed my opinion on
And
this
these
guy.
were all previously deceased corpses.
Right.
I mean, they weren't like live people he was killing and then doing this to, correct?
Right. He was robbing the graves shortly after their death, and he was getting this. Now, obviously,
not that makes that any less creepy.
No, but he's getting some of it right from the people he just killed. I mean, for sure, we know Warden And then he admitted later to killing Mary Hogan, right? And so,
This is interesting too. That these were women corpses that he was digging up because this continued the hatred for women that his mom instilled in him.
I wonder if it's that, or if instead it's actually just because he's trying to get back to having stuff relating to his mother.
Possibly.
You know.
I mean, why wouldn't he have just dug her up?
Well, I think the reason he didn't do that is because nothing like really flipped in his brain until after she was dead, and that before
Well,
she
we
was.
think. I mean, if he killed his brother, that would have been prior. So he clearly wasn't all there. I mean, I know we can't prove that, but
Right, but I think as far as the if he killed his brother, he just killed him,
right.
but he didn't get freaky
Well, you know what?
till later.
If he was as obsessed with his mom as we think, he could have killed his brother based off of his comments that he made towards his mother,
Oh, that could have been too.
which would have made a lot
I
of
didn't
sense
think about that.
because he made a lot of negative comments towards her.
Yeah, that very well could be. I like that. That's probably what happened. We're just gonna call that fact.
Yeah.
He killed his brother.
Hey, we can edit Wikipedia right now.
Do it. Don't do it.
No, it's terrible.
But anyway,
I mean, he's dead. What do we care?
Yeah.
Can it really make this story any worse? Okay, you killed women, you robbed graves, you made skin suits, you killed your brother too. Oh, nobody's gonna blink an eye at that.
Yeah.
Not at all.
Let's just leave it the way it is. All right.
Fine. Take a little fun out of it.
So, also, besides the bowls made from human skulls, they found a corset made from a female torso skinned from shoulders to waist.
Interesting.
Leggings made from human leg skin.
Was he wearing this?
So, yes.
So he was trying to make a woman's suit.
He was trying to make a mom suit.
Okay, so funny story. Well, not funny, but related story. You ever seen the movie Silence of the Lambs?
Yeah, years ago.
Buffalo Bill in that movie was obsessed with creating a human skin suit and by kidnapping women.
Right.
And he was trying to he was, transgender, trying to, convert himself basically. But he was inspired by this real life person.
Right. Yeah, I read that. I barely remember that
He puts
movie,
the lotion on
but
its skin.
I-
Like he puts the girl in down in the hole, starts throwing like splashing with water, and he's like he rolls it. It puts the lotion on its skin. You don't remember the movie? Okay, it was a terrible. I don't. YouTube it, man. Like put the video clip
I'll
up.
just
No, okay, no. We're gonna put the clip up on
the website.
the website, so I don't look like a
Alright.
moron. I mean, more
Alright.
than I already am for making
Yes.
that.
Well, how did it go again?
I can't.
Okay. So,
Puts the lotion on its skin. He says something else after that, but I don't remember what it is. Just continue.
okay.
Moving on.
So, he made masks from the skin of female heads. Mary Hogan's face mask in a paper bag. Mary Hogan's skull in a box.
Apparently, she wasn't good enough to be on his
Yeah.
bedpost.
Bernice Warden's entire head in a burlap sack, which, I mean, at this point, he just killed her, right? This is the same day that they found all this stuff. So
It's amazing that they caught him this early,
I
because
know.
how many more people would he have
Right.
murdered had this continued?
uh,
Which just like what we talked about, this technically doesn't make him an official serial killer.
right. Yeah, I think the number you can't just kill 2 people. It's got to be 3 or 4 people to be considered a serial killer.
You know how terrible that is to have that as public knowledge, though?
How
Because if you're a murderer
Mm-hmm.
and you're like, I want to be a serial killer, they're already crazy, right? And then they find out that the number is like 4 or 5. They're like, I've only killed 2 people. I gotta go kill a couple more.
Yeah, and I
Make sure
think,
I'm on the list.
I mean, probably. I mean, it's the same thing we got going on now with people, doing these mass shootings and stuff.
It's all about attention.
No, absolutely. This guy, I don't think wanted attention though. He just wanted.
He was
his
just
mother.
crazy. He
Yeah.
was crazy.
Said also they found Bernice Warden's heart in a plastic bag in front of Gain's Potbelly stove. 9 vulvae in a shoebox. Yeah. says a young girl's dress and the vulvas of 2 females judged to have been about 15 years old.
Nah, see, I wonder if they. I mean, they stated that a lot of these. Could they determine the age of some of this, depending on whether or not these were people he murdered, or versus that these were people he dug up?
So I think what happens is that during investigation, he tells them about the graves and everything, and they went back, not believing that he could have actually done this in a night, because he's not like a.
Oh, there's no way. You couldn't dig up 10 different people.
No, not in a single night. One grave in one night.
Well, yeah.
He's kind of a fragile-looking individual, and they think, he's getting kind of older. There's no way he's digging up an entire grave by himself at night.
Well, not only that, you got to dig it up, fill it back in.
Yeah, absolutely. But they checked on it, and they did like a little sampling, and I think it was 3 graves. 3 of the graves that he talked about, they dug them up, and it's the case. So he did it.
Wow.
Right? But here it says they also found a young girl's dress and the I already said that, right? The vulvas of 2 females, right? Here we go. A belt made from female human nipples. Now,
I mean, the elasticity would be good, I guess.
I don't know. I mean, is it just...
How would you even keep that together?
It's got to be just like decoration.
Like a regular leather belt?
It's got to be a leather belt with like super glue
rhinestones, nipple rhinestones all around the belt.
Yes. And
that's weird.
Yeah, and they got to be all different size nipples, right?
Well, yeah.
You got some real little tiny nipples, and then you got the big old nipples,
I'm going to keep any comments to myself on this one.
Okay. Just saying, it's just a weird thing to decorate a belt with.
I mean, I guess he could have used fingernails.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I mean, I guess whatever. You're that much.
You know what? We can't stifle his creativity here,
All
so
right.
let him continue.
So they also found 4 noses, a pair of lips on a window shade drawstring.
That's supposed to be like a handle?
I suppose so, yeah. Yeah, that's the way I picture it. Says a lampshade made from the skin of a human face.
That's...
Yeah. And then...
Imagine that, like, when the light... Obviously, because of the holes, right? Like, the light's going to project their face onto the wall.
Yes, that's awesome.
I wonder if that was part of his plan. That's the only way that would work, right? Because, like, the eyes and nose hole...
I don't think so. I think you're still going to have skin. You're still going to have light going through the rest of the lampshade, just like you would.
But not to that extent. Yeah. Like, you're going to have holes. Yeah. Like, it's clearly going to.
Yeah.
It's not going to blot it out.
I think he should have. Like really taken care of the rest of the skin on that. Maybe he did. Maybe it is. So that's all the light that goes through. Everything else is blacked out, and then it's just the openings for the mouth and the nose and the eyes. He's creative.
Yeah, I'll give him that.
And the last thing they found were fingernails from female fingers. How do you tell if a fingernail is a male finger or a female finger?
I mean, yeah, that would be a difficult. I mean, generally guys have bigger fingers, I guess, but I mean, I've seen it both ways too.
Can you really tell the nipple from a male or female apart? Because his belt was made from female human nipples, or possibly it's just because all the graves that he robbed were females.
Yeah,
and so they're just assuming, just like they assumed
giving
his
up the
brother
information.
Died.
Yeah. He didn't dig his brother up, did he?
Oh no, his brother.
Did they ever check that one?
His brother died of heart complications or asphyxiation. Oh, we're just going to say that, and we're just going to say that these are female nipples.
His skin would have been.
These people need to do a better job.
Yeah,
that's all I'm saying.
Yeah,
but anyway,
for him to, I mean, I would be curious to know if these were like recently deceased people.
Yes, yes, they all were recently deceased.
So he was. So this went on for a long period of time.
Yeah, then. I think it was for 5 years. It went on for 5 years. Yep. It says right here. It says, when questioned, Gein told investigators that between 1947 and 1952, he made as many as 40 nocturnal visits to 3 local graveyards to exhume recently buried bodies while he was in a daze-like state. On about 30 of those visits, he said he came out of the daze while in the cemetery, left the grave in good order, and returned home empty-handed. On the other occasions, he dug up the graves of recently buried middle-aged women he thought resembled his mother and took the bodies home, where he tanned their skins to make his paraphernalia. Gein admitted to...
Did he do anything with the bodies?
Okay. I'm saying yes. He says no. He did.
I mean, they didn't
There's
have
no way.
DNA testing back then, so it's
There's
not like they would
no
have
way
clue.
he didn't
No.
fuck these
This
dead
dude,
bodies.
he is so messed up in the head. You know, he was like, they were already saying he was in love with his mom, like in love with his mom.
Love, yeah. Dude, he is so raping these bodies.
Yeah, I
Absolutely.
mean,
But he says he didn't, so whatever. Let's believe the serial killer, or the not serial killer.
who makes furniture out of skin?
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, he seems like a totally trustworthy guy.
It says Gein admitted to stealing from 9 graves from local cemeteries and led investigators to their location. Alan,
At least he fessed up.
Alan W. last name, Wilimowski.
Wilimowski. Yeah. Good job.
Of the state crime laboratory, participated in opening 3 test graves identified by Gein. That's where it talks about it. Says the caskets were inside wooden boxes. The tops of the boxes were about 2 feet below the surface in sandy soil. Gein had robbed the graves soon after the funerals while the graves were not completed. The test graves were exhumed because authorities were uncertain as to whether the slight Gein was capable of single-handedly digging up a grave during a single evening.
I mean, if they weren't completely filled in, though. then it
No.
wouldn't have been hard.
I think it was. I think what they're getting at, my guess is, what they're getting at is it hasn't been covered by grass seed, right?
Well, yeah. It's a
there's
loose dirt.
Right, yeah, it's absolutely, because they just filled
No,
it in.
you would think, though, maybe it's due to it being loose dirt and not grass that at least the groundskeepers would notice something.
Yeah,
was
they
up.
wouldn't notice it.
But I mean, if he's doing it in the middle of the night,
Yeah, I don't see how they would notice.
I mean, brand new grave,
Yep.
who would know?
So when they dug these graves up, right, they found them just as Gein had described. One casket was empty. One casket Gein had failed to open when he lost his pry bar. And most of the body was gone from a 3rd grave, yet Gein had returned rings and some body parts. Thus, Gain's confession was largely corroborated.
Wait. He was returning body parts?
Yeah, I think, he does. I mean, there's some things you may not, you don't want some intestines laying around your house, right? What are you going to do with that?
Well, so was he taking them out in pieces?
No, I don't think so. I think he took the whole body.
Left the grave open, then came back later that night and dumped it back in and filled it in?
I
That seems like a lot of time to pass.
He's he's like Dexter, man. He's got this down. He goes really quickly. Yeah.
I can't believe, I mean...
Which maybe that's true. Maybe he didn't have time to have sex with these bodies. If he's got to cut them all up and everything too. I don't know. I think he's fucking them.
I mean...
He is. He's doing it. And then he's ripping off body parts really quick, taking back what he doesn't think he needs, puts it back in the grave, covers it up, goes back home, and then takes care of tanning the skin and everything.
He could be a 2-pump Eddie and he'd be done.
Yeah, it could be. We'll just call him. Let's call him Kyle. Kyle Gein. Okay. So, soon after his mother's death, Gein began to create the woman's suit so that he could become his mother, to literally crawl into her skin. And it says, Gein denied having sex with the bodies he exhumed, explaining they smelled too bad. Oh, is that what stopped you, Ed Gein?
The smell, that's what it is.
The smell stopped you from having sex with them. Otherwise, you would have.
I'm surprised that he was doing this with other women's skin and he didn't just do this to his own mom's skin.
I think probably, my guess is, he didn't really turn into that much of a freak until after
way
she
later
died,
on,
right?
yeah.
So I think it was still the same, probably
He
within the
slowly got
same
there.
year, but yeah, you can't just jump into right away having sex with your dead mom. Or taking her skin.
I think, yeah.
Taking her
What was
skin.
his plan? He's like, was he trying to become his mom then?
Yeah, I don't know. It's weird. I mean, I think he's probably, my guess is he's got multiple personalities going on here, right? And I think that's why when they talk about him
what's
waking
the
up
other...
in the graveyard in a dazed light, state.
What's
right?
the other movie? Psycho, the old Psycho movie.
Nope, never watched it.
Are you serious?
Nope.
What's wrong with you? Anyway, so the whole point of the movie is like this guy owns this hotel and he's like ends up stalking this woman. But like he keeps talking about his mom, and it turns out like he's actually got split personalities and he's crazy. But like he like dresses up like his mom too, and he murdered his mom like years ago, and now he like thinks he's his mom too.
Oh yeah,
on top
yeah,
of it.
yeah.
That's like part of the movie. At the end, it's like they walk in there and he's like wearing his mom's wig. But yeah, so also
Yeah,
very similar.
Yeah, same thing.
Why do so many of these like especially the guys? They always have like
Mommy issues.
yeah.
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 Fuck it, man, I don't know.
like their moms were abusive or hated them or that's just
But
disturbing.
this mom loved him
Yeah, maybe a little too much.
a little bit. It says during state crime laboratory interrogation, Gein also admitted to the shooting death of Mary Hogan, a tavern owner missing since 1954, whose head was found in his house.
Yeah, that's a hard one to deny at
Yeah.
that point.
But he later denied memory of details of her death. So he did it, but now he's like, oh, maybe I didn't. He did it. Says a 16-year-old youth whose parents were friends of Gein, which means that Gein ended up getting friends later in life. But it says a 16-year-old youth whose parents were friends of Gein and who attended ball games and movies with him reported that Gein kept shrunken heads in his house, which Gein had described as relics from the Philippines sent by a cousin who had served on the islands during World War II. Upon investigation by police, these were determined to be human facial skins carefully peeled from the corpses and used by Gein as masks. So he's using masks from multiple people.
So
Maybe for multiple personalities.
So if any of you out there are around somebody's house and you see shrunken skulls,
Yes.
don't believe them.
Yeah, don't believe. Just
Total
call,
bullshit.
just call the cops.
Yeah.
Says Gein was also considered a suspect in several other unsolved cases in Wisconsin, including the 1953 disappearance of Evelyn Hartley, a lacrosse babysitter. During questioning, a county sheriff, Art Schley, reportedly assaulted Gein by banging his head and face into a brick wall. That's my kind of guy right there. I mean, not really. I like the idea.
That wouldn't fly these days.
I like the idea because we know, we know the end result of this. We know that Gein actually did this. So I like the idea of this sheriff like beating the shit out of him.
It's literally like Batman interrogating the Joker.
Yes,
Just
that's what it is.
that's what it is. That's what it is.
But otherwise, I'm not a fan. Like I don't buy into this, vigilante type style of justice, right? So I want the whole thing. I want you to have your day in court,
Oh, absolutely.
So
I mean, at this stage, was this
this
after
is,
he admitted everything?
yeah, I think it's just during the questioning, so it's got to be probably the same day.
Well, because you got to be careful with
Well-
it. I mean, even with this, because it was like, had the assault occurred prior to any of his admission, like these days especially, like he could claim that he was
Well,
beaten into
it-
saying these things.
It didn't matter. I mean, whichever way it went, it still says that. It says, as a result, Gein's initial confession was ruled inadmissible.
Oh, there you go.
All right. Then Schley died of a heart failure at age 43 in 1968 before Gein's trial. Many who knew Schley said he was traumatized by the horror of Gein's crimes, and this, along with the fear of having to testify, especially about assaulting Gein, caused his death. One of his friends said he was a victim of Ed Gein as surely as if he had butchered him. So, on November 21st, 1957, Gein was arraigned on one count of first-degree murder, where he pleaded not guilty by reason of insanity.
If anybody can clear it, he can.
Gein was diagnosed with schizophrenia and found mentally incompetent, thus unfit for trial. He was sent to Central State Hospital for the criminally insane, a maximum security facility, and later transferred to Mendota State Hospital in Madison, Wisconsin. In 1968, doctors determined Gein was mentally able to confer with counsel and participate in his defense, and the trial began on November 7th, 1968, and lasted 1 week. A psychiatrist testified that Gein had told him that he did not know whether the killing of Bernice Worden was intentional or accidental. Says Gein had told him that while he examined a gun in Worden's store, the gun went off, killing Worden.
Yeah, okay.
Gein testified that after trying to load a bullet into the rifle, it discharged. He said he had not aimed the rifle at Worden and did not remember anything else that happened that morning.
I feel like at this point he was just trying to make sure he didn't get the death sentence.
I don't know. I mean,
or maybe it's a multiple personality thing. But okay,
he's going back to the store.
You can't
for
say
antifreeze.
that. You can't say that, and then end up hanging her upside down, tied off, skinning her.
Well, if you accidentally
after.
kill somebody, that's what you do.
Might as well not waste the body, right? I'll have to dig this one up today.
Yes. Why waste it? He didn't waste human skulls.
I mean, yeah.
He's not going to waste this body that he
It's a good
accidentally
point.
killed.
I mean, why didn't he just skin the whole thing and he had one whole suit sitting there for him?
What do you mean?
Well, he was trying to make a mom suit, basically.
Yeah. Well, he didn't have time to skin her. It was later that day. He killed her, and then, a few hours later, he didn't have time to skin her.
Because they caught him right after this, right?
Yeah, same day.
Sloppy.
So, says at the sloppy. At the request of the defense, Gain's trial was held without a jury. Gein was found guilty on November 14th. A second trial dealt with Gain's sanity. After testimony by doctors for the prosecution and defense, the judge ruled Gein not guilty by reason of insanity and ordered him committed to Central State Hospital for the criminally insane. Which I just don't understand. I don't understand. So, he's guilty the first time. And then immediately afterwards, he's determined to be insane. And I mean, he was found that he was.
Well, you can still be labeled guilty, but they'll let you plead the insanity.
At first it said he was mentally able to confer with counsel and participate in a defense. So then they found that he was sane enough to go to trial, and now they're saying that he's insane. Or is it just sane enough to stand trial, but then saying that while he was doing this, he was insane? So
I mean, they could have got an appeal, after the initial trial, and then said that they needed him to be evaluated, and then use the evaluation to get the case overturned. It's hard telling. We'd have to pull the actual case files or review the legal documents.
To me, it's just weird. He's found guilty at one point, and then right after that, he was found insane. So anyway, it says he spent the rest of his life in the mental hospital, and it says the judge wrote, due to prohibitive costs, Gein was tried for only one murder, that of Mrs. Warden. He also admitted
Only one?
Yeah, because he only killed the two people, right?
Yeah, but why wouldn't he have been charged with the second
That's what I'm saying. He's insane after that. He was just guilty of killing Warden, but he was insane for
that's stupid. It's like it's all or nothing like that point.
Uh,
Not mention the fact that I would assume you get some type of charge for grave robbing, right?
It's got to be something.
Like I wonder how that pulls up on your record.
But I don't know.
Trespassing,
Maybe to add to it.
Yeah, like it matters at that point.
Yeah.
I mean, he wasn't getting legit jail time. He was just getting mental.
It
hospital
should be a crime on top of the crime to make a bodysuit. I'm saying, like, even if killing somebody and skinning them was not a crime, making a bodysuit and wearing it, that should be a crime.
I mean,
A crime in itself.
I
Absolutely.
wonder how they would label that.
Fucking weirdos.
Possession of paraphernalia.
Can you fucking weirdos probably
I don't.
be right.
I don't.
I don't know. I don't like it. I think the guy's too much of a freak.
Yeah.
So it says afterwards, Gaines' house and 195-acre property,
Wow.
which he started with 155. But I don't know if he just must have assumed some of his brother's property because it said he sold 80 acres of it. So maybe
this is the real estate side of me kicking in here. Let's just note that he sold. His 105-acre property was appraised at $4,700.
195-acre property, wasn't it? Or was it 105?
No, 195. Yes.
Okay.
195 acres was appraised at $4,700. $5,000.
Hey, this is a long time ago.
There's appreciation for you right there. People want to talk about real estate costs now. Look at that.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. It says that's equivalent to $44,000 as of 2021.
That's even worse.
Yeah. That's a man. Sign me up. Where'd this guy live at anyway?
Well, this is the funny part.
Wisconsin,
So,
that's right.
so when he sold this was probably heavily discounted just because of the
Oh.
stuff that happened on the property, right? But
Well, he didn't sell it, but yeah.
well, yeah, he didn't. But still, though, like bulldoze the house and you've got 200 acres, like
Right.
for $5,000.
Absolutely. I'm bulldozing
I don't care
that
what
thing
went on
right
that place.
away.
I'd buy that place.
Taking it.
I mean,
I
land is
might
land.
not even bulldoze it. I don't give a shit. You know?
Clean it up, rent it out,
Yeah,
huh?
That's right.
Like, listen.
You get 5 acres.
I'm
and-
giving you $100 off rent a month, just so you know. There was some stuff that happened
some
here.
weird stuff happened in this house. Just stay out of the barn.
I mean, nobody was murdered directly there.
In that barn they were. So
No.
bulldoze the barn?
No, I thought.
Oh,
I thought
no.
the murder happened. Oh, he brought everybody back there. He
Well,
killed
I
her
don't know.
at-
It doesn't say anything about Mary Hogan though. He might have brought her back and killed her there.
I feel like he's killing them other places and then bringing them back.
Well,
but
he did with Warden, but Mary Hogan it never says.
no, that's true.
So, but who cares? People aren't going to know that when you're renting their house.
You know how
out,
many
so-
houses people have died in as it is.
Yeah.
Maybe not, skinned and murdered and turned into chairs, but
Yeah.
stuff.
That's true. Says
Do the chairs go with the house?
no. They do. Oh, that's weird because right after that it says his possessions were scheduled to be auctioned on March 30th, 1958.
Oh my God, that show up at a slideshow somewhere for sure.
What if they accidentally got a chair in there that had skin on it? They didn't realize it.
I would assume most of it would have been confiscated for.
Yeah, if they realized it was human skin, what if they thought it was just regular chair?
I think I would just throw the rest of it out at that point. Like,
But they're auctioning it off, and I mean, this guy couldn't have. I've seen
it's
the
like he could have
pictures
like
of-
weaved human hair into like the curtains. I would keep anything at that point.
Yeah. But it says his possessions were to be auctioned off on March 30th, amidst rumors that the house and the land it stood on might become a tourist attraction.
Oh, it definitely would have been.
Early on the morning of March 20th, the house was destroyed by fire. And this is where they think it's Deputy Fire Marshal Frank Warden, but
Hold on. If it is, okay, and this is the reason I brought this up before,
Yes.
okay? This man murdered Frank's mom, okay? And then suddenly there's an accidental fire. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, it would make to reason that the man burned the house down intentionally.
Eh,
And I wouldn't blame him.
Could
I
have
mean,
been
given
that.
the situation.
Could have been that. Could have been any of the people whose graves this guy.
Yeah, I mean,
they pulled up your
I mean,
daughter's grave
yeah.
or something. Yeah.
The anger you would have for
Yeah,
someone
and you
desecrating your
don't-
daughter's grave,
yeah, and you
I
don't-
would go insane.
Yeah, I
like-
wouldn't want that somebody to turn that into some sort of little sideshow.
No,
You know.
no, and then you've got not only the items, but like you said, it would literally be like a tourist attraction.
Yep,
Like who would
yep.
want that related to their kid?
Right. Yep. So at any rate, the house destroyed. They had crews there that were cleaning up garbage and everything. They had a fire set, but it was 75 feet away from the house. And upon investigating it, they didn't see any trail of fire leading from that spot that they had set over to the house. So they're just saying that they're suspecting it's arson.
Well,
Right.
yeah, it was definitely arson.
But the cause of the fire was never officially determined.
Well, yeah, because Frank was the fire marshal.
Yeah. Well, I don't think Frank's the fire. Marshal.
I would like to find that out for sure, or if that is
So
just
you have a whole episode on Frank Warden.
maybe we could. I'll tell you what, folks. We'll just put a little amendment
here,
on
folks.
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 We'll put a little amendment at the bottom on this one to see if we can find out. It's like a little. No, I want to know.
I'm doing nothing more with Frank Warden. Frank Warden is dead to me.
You let me down. I'm just gonna slip this in on the next episode anyway. Just a
So-
little comment about Frank right as we start.
When they told Gein about his house being destroyed and everything, he shrugged and said, "Just as well." That's his response. What do you picture? Because for me, it's Eeyore. Just as well. Aw.
I'm really glad I have that on video now. We're gonna replay that. That's going to TikTok.
Anyway, he didn't give a shit.
Well,
His
he's
house-
never getting out. What's it
Yeah,
matter?
He doesn't care.
He'd be better off to sell the land and pay for whatever he can.
Well, he can't
for
sell
commissary.
anything. He's not selling anything. He's
It's still his property.
I don't think so. Nope. No way. They've taken it. They've taken
I
it from
don't
him.
know.
Had
If he
to
had
have.
no family,
Well,
he's
yeah,
not dead.
I mean, they're selling it.
They're going to sell it.
The-
He's going to be able to use it for commissary in jail or wherever the hell he's at to pay
He's
for
in
his...
a mental institution.
Well,
They're
he's still
giving
gotta
him.
pay for stuff?
They're giving him everything he wants anyway.
That's a good
Giving him a
point.
bunch of drugs. You know, take these pills, dude.
I mean, these days, it's like you're on death row in jail. They'll give you a heart transplant to keep you alive just long enough to give you...
Yeah, so that they can kill you.
Right?
Yeah.
Makes no sense to me.
Jesus. It says his 1949 Ford sedan, which he used to haul the bodies of his victims, was sold at a public auction for $760, which was the equivalent of $7,100 in 2021. And it was sold to Carnival sideshow operator Bunny Gibbons.
I don't... Okay, that would make sense because I was like, who the hell's going to buy that car?
Yeah.
I would be less likely to buy the car than I would the house and land.
Yeah, well, I'm not buying the car either.
That's it.
Fuck that car, but I want that 195 acres.
This is like similar to the I mean, not quite the same level of crazy, but the dude who sold OJ's Bronco.
Oh, I didn't know about that.
Yeah, this guy. Well, he kind of shafted himself. I need to read up on the final details of it, but he was trying to sell it for $1 million.
Okay.
And I remember him showing up on Pawn Stars, the one out in Vegas, where
All right, yeah.
They tried to sell the Bronco to the Pawn Stars guy, and he offered him he was trying to determine how much it was worth, and of course he was trying to lowball him, and he was like, "No, I won't take anything less than $1 million." They never made a deal. I think it was just for TV ratings. The guy ended up putting this thing up to auction, never got what he wanted, and I think he ended up donating it to some museum. Now I don't know if he took a fee to donate it, but that's where it ended up. It's sitting in some museum somewhere. I'd have to look up.
Oh, that's great. That's real good.
So maybe it could be sitting next to Ed Gein's car.
Yeah, could be. That guy charged people 25 cents to see it.
I mean,
So
kind of like the museum, right?
yeah, what do you get charged to get into a museum? $10, something like that. Yeah.
Some of them.
I don't see myself going to. I don't know what kind of museum would house OJ's Bronco.
Yeah,
The fuck?
sports memorabilia, maybe. I mean, what? How else are you gonna classify that?
I don't know. Just that's fucking weird.
I mean, it's he didn't murder anybody in the vehicle. I mean, that we know
He
of.
didn't murder anybody anyway.
He was acquitted, Justin.
Okay.
He was acquitted.
The glove didn't fit, Kyle.
Good old yeah. Good man. Goes to show you right there, folks. Get you a good lawyer,
Folks.
folks. I'm not saying folks. There's
Just saying.
folks.
Anyway, Gein died at Mendota Mental Health Institute due to respiratory failure, secondary to lung cancer, on July 26, 1984, at the age of 77.
So was he asphyxiated too?
Yeah, that's right. Over the years, souvenir seekers chipped pieces from his gravestone at Plainfield Cemetery until the stone itself was stolen in 2000.
Man, you guys are creepy too.
Yeah, no shit.
What do you do going to stealing pieces?
Dude, people do it everywhere.
It's so weird.
I visited a cemetery where Abraham Lincoln's father was buried at, and they had done the same thing with his, headstone too. So they
That's
chipped
so
away and
odd.
chipped away and chipped away pieces of it.
I mean,
And
if it's somebody famous, I would almost understand that more. I mean,
don't-
it's still wrong. You're stealing someone's headstone. That's
Right.
so
Yeah.
disrespectful. But to do it to a serial killer, you're
He's not a
idolizing.
serial killer.
Oh, you're right. Do it to a plain old murderer who skinned people. That's just
yeah,
unusual.
I think the thing is a lot of people are fucking weird. I mean, there's a lot of weird people out there. I don't get it. If you were able to get a piece of the moon, like a little moon rock, I'm cool with that.
Hold on. While we're on the moon topic,
No.
how's your plot of land on the moon, Justin? Would you like to go into detail about your plot of land?
Hey,
Hold on.
don't judge
no.
me.
No.
Don't judge me. One day you're gonna thank me when you've got place to stay.
And I will. We'll set up a duplex. But I would like you to maybe elaborate a little bit on the big cheese.
The biggest cheese.
The biggest cheese, yeah.
Not happening.
For those of you listening, Justin at one point in time when we were younger came upon a website. Was it a website that was doing this? It doesn't matter. Anyway, it was this website dedicated to selling plots on the moon
Yeah,
that you
1
could
acre.
buy. How much was it?
It was $34.
$34. And
$34 for an acre, and this guy's over here going, "Oh, 195 acres for that price. Oh, that's a deal." But getting an acre
35 for a moon acre.
$34, that's amazing.
now, Justin,
The moon's a lot smaller
You
than
were
the
so
Earth.
excited
Just
about
saying.
this until the plat came with it had his like little plot section and a little picture of the moon, and on the very bottom, it said the president of the company's name was
The biggest cheese.
the biggest cheese, because the moon is made of cheese. It was hilarious. Anyway, but this is one of the reasons why I love Justin, because he will do anything, which is why we're doing a podcast. So anyway, continue with Ed Gein.
So the rest of his stone, the entirety of it, it was stolen in 2000. It was recovered in June of 2001 near Seattle, Washington, and was placed in storage at the county sheriff's department. Gravesite itself is now unmarked, but it's not unknown. Gain's buried between his parents and his brothers in the cemetery. So that's the story of Ed Gein. Remember, you can visit our website at wikibros.com to get links to more information regarding this topic. Also, be sure to subscribe to our podcast and YouTube channel. And follow us on your favorite social media outlets like TikTok and Instagram. Leave us a rating, tell a friend. Remember, Wikipedia runs on donations, so would you consider giving a couple bucks? Join us next time where we're going to dive into the 11-day siege at Ruby Ridge. For Wikibros, I'm Justin,
This is Kyle.
and we'll see you soon.